All right, let's talk about crypto. Because right now, the whole space is in a really strange, kind of confusing place. On one hand, you hear it's the future of everything. And on the other, it feels like a niche that nobody actually uses. So what's really going on? Well, the answer is a lot more interesting than you might think.
Okay, let's just dive right in. The reason so many people are scratching their heads is because of this huge disconnect, this massive paradox that's playing out as we speak. So, on one hand, you've got Wall Street, and they are all in. I mean, we're talking about the biggest names out there: BlackRock, Fidelity. They aren't just dipping a toe in, they are pouring billions of dollars into these new crypto ETFs. And behind the scenes, sovereign wealth funds and huge pension funds, they're quietly buying in, making some very serious long-term bets. But then you have Main Street. For the average person, crypto feels like it's a million miles away. You're not using it for your daily coffee, the NFT market has gone totally quiet, and that whole Web3 gaming revolution we kept hearing about, it just hasn't happened. So what gives? How can Wall Street be so bullish while Main Street is so disconnected? How can both of these things be true at once? Well, there's a really popular theory that tries to explain this gap, and it does that by comparing today's crypto world to a very specific and very important moment in tech history. And get this quote isn't from some crypto fanatic on the internet. It's from the CEO of Visa. He perfectly nailed what people call the 1995 moment theory. It's this idea that we're simply in the slow, clunky, confusing part of a technology that's about to absolutely explode, just like the internet was back in the day. And you know what? This isn't just a hunch. The data actually backs it up. Big institutions like Wells Fargo have crunched the numbers, and they found that the adoption curve for crypto today looks almost identical to the internet's back in 1995. I mean, think about it. The internet had been around for over a decade, but less than 1% of the world was using it. Sound familiar? So the thinking goes, we shouldn't really be worried that crypto isn't everywhere yet. The argument is that all truly disruptive technologies have to go through this long, awkward phase where all the boring but crucial infrastructure gets built before, boom, it hits that explosive growth. It's a nice, tidy explanation. But, and this is a huge but, here's the twist. While that 1995 analogy is a great place to start, it's not the whole story. It's actually incomplete because it's missing what's really happening today. See, history isn't just repeating itself. The script for this revolution is being fundamentally rewritten by two incredibly powerful forces that simply didn't exist back in the 90s. They are total game changers. So let's break these two forces down. First, what some are calling the regular army of traditional finance, they finally arrived. And second, there's a completely new kind of user, a new species, if you will, called artificial intelligence. And it turns out, AI needs its own economy to function. First, let's follow the money, because the way the financial world is getting involved this time is completely different from how things played out during the internet boom. I mean, think back to the 90s. The big story was about the disruptors, right? It was newcomers like Amazon and eBay, born in garages, that came out of nowhere to challenge the establishment. Their whole story was about attacking from the outside and replacing the old guard. Today's story is the complete opposite. That financial regular army, the old guard, they aren't being replaced. Nope, they're moving in. They are leading the charge themselves, not to destroy the old world, but to move the entire thing onto a new, more efficient technology. And the proof of this invasion is everywhere you look. This isn't just a theory. You have BlackRock tokenizing real-world assets, like money market shares, right on the Ethereum blockchain. You have the government passing laws, like the Genius Act, to create a clear federal framework for stablecoins. An executive order has cracked the door open for U.S. pension funds to invest. And all the while, corporate treasuries are now holding over $100 billion in crypto. The system is being rebuilt from the inside. And here's the number that you really need to understand the scale of what's happening. With a regulated path now opening up, the U.S. pension market could potentially start investing. We're not talking about small-time venture capital anymore. We're talking about a potential pool of $9 trillion in long-term capital. That changes everything. Okay, so that was force number one. Now for the second force, and this one is even more futuristic. We're talking about an economy that's built not for people, but for machines. You see, the first internet was all about connecting people to information and connecting people to other people. E-commerce was just human commerce, but online. The next internet, though, is going to be about connecting AIs to other AIs, letting them transact and work together on their own. Just try to imagine this flow. an AI artist generates a design. Instantly, a smart contract mints it as a unique, provably owned NFT. Then, a marketing AI just goes out and autonomously starts paying to promote it. And finally, a brand's AI agent sees it, likes the data, and automatically buys the license. That whole cycle, from creation to sale, happens entirely between machines with no human bottleneck. And this creates this amazing symbiotic relationship, something the founder of Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin, talks about. AI is creating value at a massive scale, and it needs trustless rules and a way to prove ownership. Well, crypto provides exactly that. And in return, crypto gets its first truly native autonomous user, AI. They solve each other's core problem. So when you combine these two massive new forces, institutional finance and artificial intelligence, it completely changes what we should even be looking for. It changes what winning looks like. The prize itself is different this time. In the last era of the internet, the goal was always to build the next Amazon, a giant, centralized, winner-take-all platform. But the new goal is different. It's about building protocols. So think less about building the one single supermarket that everyone has to shop at, and think more about building the roads and the electrical grid that all the different supermarkets can use. It's about shared public infrastructure, like TCP/IP, the protocol the entire internet runs on. This totally reframes the entire question for anyone watching this space. Is the goal to find the next great online store, or is it to find the next great digital highway system? The open, public utility that's going to enable all the traffic of the future. So what do these new protocols even look like? Well, you've probably heard of them. They're things like Layer 2 networks, like Arbitrum, that make blockchains way faster, or cross-chain bridges, like Layer 0, that let different blockchains talk to each other. Decentralized identity is another huge one. These aren't companies in the old sense. It's better to think of them as the digital roads and bridges for this new economy. And that really brings us to the final and maybe most important takeaway. It's so easy to get fixated on the daily price charts, but the real story, the much bigger and more significant development, might be the slow, steady construction of all this fundamental plumbing, the protocols and the infrastructure that are going to support the future of finance and this new AI economy. So the question to leave you with is this: when you look at crypto, are you watching the price or are you watching the plumbing?